This is a yoga practice with 3 gentle movements that you can do anytime you need to feel restored in mind, body, and spirit. These practices are also safe for those who have been recovering from a lumpectomy or a mastectomy and have been cleared for movement from their medical practitioner. The first practice is a breathing practice. So it's called Viloma. It's a 3-part breath. 3 parts referring to your breathing diaphragm, which is right here, your abdomen, and your chest. We're going to feel the expansion of the ribs and essentially the trunk through breathing. And in this way, it'll open these muscles and get lymph fluids moving that surround the breast tissue and get centered through that breathing diaphragm. So I invite you to place one hand on the upper belly. I'm going to scooch back. One hand on the upper belly, one hand on your chest. Just take a breath in through your nose and then sigh out. And just start to connect your breath with your body and your mind. Just breathing in and out through your nose. And now what we're going to do is breathe in through your nose on a count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Hold it. Keep that diaphragm supportive. Breathe in again. Hold it. Breathe in one more time. Fill it to the very top. Hold it. Feel that expansion in the trunk. And then breathe out. Just return to natural breathing. And we'll do that again. Breathing in on a count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Hold it. Breathe in again. Hold it. One more time. Fill it up. Hold it. Exhale. Just natural breathing. Let's do one more. Breathing in for a count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Hold it. Breathe in again. Hold it. Keep that support. Breathe in one more time. Hold it. Feel that beautiful expansion in the trunk. Breathe out. Just let it go. You can release your hands. And now let's just place the hands. I like to loop them in the armpits and place hands right underneath the collarbones, the fingers. And just breathe in and out and see if you can feel that movement of the ribs and the upper chest. I'm just doing natural breathing, connecting with how vast the space is inside the body for the breath. And just release your hands. Let's roll the shoulders back. And keeping hands, I'm going to scooch my computer, make some adjustments here. Keeping hands on the thighs. Just do a little bit of a rounding of the spine, opening of the chest. This is a little warming up movement for the spine for their second yoga practice. I always like to ease into movement. And the second practice of this video is child's pose. So I do have a yoga bolster here. This might be a nice restorative option. If you don't have a yoga bolster, you can use just a really firm cushion or even some yoga blocks. But we're going to come onto the shins, sit the hips back onto the heels, and then having the arms out, I'm just going to rest my forehead on the bolster. What this is doing is keeping pressure off of the chest. That would be maybe on the thighs. If you want to get a little bit lower, you can. Of course, you can just release the bolster and rest your forehead on your mat. And let's just rest here. If your hips do not come onto your heels, you can take this bolster and instead place it on your shins, and maybe that's the cushioning you need to bridge the gap, and then come into your child's pose. But you'll have your arms extended. This is kind of lengthening that breast tissue and the armpit area and the chest, which has lymph nodes in them. And we're just getting some movement back through that area by tractioning it just a little bit. This is lengthening the spine. It's lengthening all the muscles of the back and the hips. And if you like, you can practice that 3-part breath while in this pose, or not. And then let's slowly just walk the hands up. You can release any props you might have. Just sit for a moment. And then lastly, our final pose has another restorative option. It's a forward bend, seated forward bend. And so if you notice that when you sit, you slump the back, it's very common. You'll want to take a blanket. I have a yoga blanket here that's made of wool, so it can get pretty sturdy. And I'm going to fold it into a nice rectangle. So that's probably as thick as I need. If you don't have a yoga blanket, beach blankets are great because they tend to be a little bit denser in their construction, and sometimes you can roll those up and fold them in different ways to give you the support. But what that does is I'm going to put my sitting bones just on the edge of it to just tilt my pelvis to the proper orientation. And again, remember, I like to ease into movement. So this is called staff pose. Just sit here for a moment. Get centered and grounded in each moment of the practice. And for a forward bend, I always encourage you to bend your knees to start, because the focus of the forward bend is on the spine. You will feel a stretch in the underside of the legs and the hamstrings. If your hamstrings are tight, which for most people they are, this will be about as far as you can go, and then you might feel strain or pulling, and you don't want that. So bend your knees, place your tummy towards your thighs, and just come here and relax the head down. And then if you can straighten your legs, then you can do so. Now the restorative option is to place that bolster on your legs, place it right up against the tummy, and just drape yourself over. That way you feel supported. And when you're doing restorative yoga, you want the props to always bridge the gap in the spaces so that your body can release. So I'll stay in the restorative option. Just breathe here. Again, now we're letting the shoulder blades just kind of fall apart from each other. Shoulders are giving space to the ears, and you're just breathing. These kinds of poses that are forward bending, for most people, feel really safe and peaceful. And what that does is calm the central nervous system, which then can lower inflammation in the body. Of course, there's also an anatomical benefit of lengthening the muscles, getting a nice stretch. All of that's wonderful. But I really like the physiological benefits of these poses. Okay, then I like to place my hands on the mat and just gently edge myself up, just push through the hands just a little bit. Coming back into staff pose. And then just breathe. And now, the final option for you, my screen keeps going black. There we go. The final option, bonus pose. For very beginners, it might not feel like a pose, but it's actually the most important one we have, is Shavasana. But we're going to make this a very restorative Shavasana. So if you wanted to, again, grab that bolster and place it under your knees, it's always a nice option. But I invite you to lay back and have some space between your arms and your body. I'm guessing it's maybe 45 degrees away at most, between 30 and 45 degrees away from the body. But this is to give space to that breast tissue. Let the muscles of the shoulders and the chest and the belly and the groin completely soften. And as you breathe, just relax. I tell my daughter, it's like you're a starfish. And you're just relaxing and feeling the wave of breath, as a starfish might feel the gentle wave and lapping of water. And again, having some support under your knees will help release the lower back. And any kind of releasing of the muscles along the trunk can help release gripping to then bring some movement of lymph fluid and blood through the lymph nodes. And you do have a whole collection of lymph nodes in the groin. They go up the trunk. You have a whole collection around the breasts and then to the armpits. You have some going down the breastbone. So just soften. And imagine that wave of breath moving through you, moving and easing through the fluids of your body that are so luscious and life-giving. Just find gratitude for all of them. And you can lay here for as long as you like. You could feel that 3-part breath in any of these poses. Or you can just do that 3-part breath at the beginning of your practice and then just return to natural breathing for the rest. And when you're ready to come out of your Shavasana, you'll just roll on to your side and then just easy peasy come up to sit. I always like to end my practice with my hands on my body. You can put one hand on your belly, one hand on your heart. There's something very grounding and centering about touch and feeling yourself. When we're stressed, we feel disembodied because our anxiety is pulling us out of ourselves and out of our actual experience. So placing hands on the body is very grounding and real. Feel yourself, love yourself. Give thanks for the heartbeat you feel beneath your hands. Give thanks for the breath that you feel moving your trunk. These are your life forces. And we'll bring our hands together in an act of thankfulness. And I thank you for joining me through this video. I hope it was helpful for you. Please leave a comment below. If it was, share it with anyone who you feel could use some support. And subscribe to my channel if you want more videos like this to help you. Thank you.